All right, guys, welcome back. We are watching Chainsaw Man Season 1, Episode 4. Last time, we had a bit of a cat rescue mission. I don't know how successful it was. I hope Meowie's alive, but Meowie was eaten by the Bat Devil. We defeated the Bat Devil, had some some very insightful stuff between Power and Dingy, I feel like. I'm interested to see if Dingy's attitude towards her will change, or I don't know. I'm just very curious, like, where we're going with that, right? And also, like, Makima being creepy, as always, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just watch episode 4. So you can line your own copy up with this if you want to. We are starting in 3, 2, 1. Oh, that was weird. Oh, I see. Yummy. Oh god, not the cows. Interesting. God, that's cool. So she kills and eats everything, right? Just as she said about Meowie, right? Hmm. It's very interesting. Her attitude about life, like what you could say that the way you could read into that, I suppose. And yet she cares about him, yeah. Or her. I guess we didn't know the cat's gender. Equally meaningless. Yeah, just for a cat. Huh. What makes it special, right? Yeah, what makes Meowie special compared to everything else? What about yourself? I like blood. Sure, but it's also life, right? Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very interesting. Really got to think about that. Oh, they are both alive in the Bat Devil's stomach. All right. Let's go. Cuz you guys are the same in a lot of ways. What's he gonna say though? Of course. Yeah, that's why. That's why. Obviously. That has to be why. Naturally, naturally. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's truly, right? Hmm. Is that really what we want still? I guess. I don't think Denji's gotten past that. But I'm curious how that's. Yeah, yeah. Oh, right. Is he being shot at? What just happened? Oh. Oh, no. Not. Oh, okay. I thought that was going for the cat. It's going for his arm. That's okay. Hi there. I like your haircut. What? Okay, what kind of devil is that? What is that thing? Like, what? Look like a worm, I guess? I don't know. No, I really, really deeply enjoyed that opening scene there. Very interesting. So I'm still thinking, of course, what I said last time about Denji and this whole touching Power's boobs thing is I don't think it's going to be as meaningful as he thinks it is, because I think what he really wants isn't just to touch her boobs, right? I don't think that is the base of his desire, not just for her, but for, like, in general, right? Like having a relationship, I suppose. Like the connection, I think, is would be more important to him. I just don't know if he's even at that point where he even understands that himself at all yet, you know? So I figure that through this, that might be how he understands that, right? But I also wonder because he has formed more of an emotional connection with power now, right? I don't know. It just depends. It just depends. Because he's just never had anything like that before at all, right? So I just don't even think he knows what he wants at all, right? I think that's the problem. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. What is this thing? I guess we got another one to deal with. I'm gonna assume Denji can just regrow his arm and it'll be fine, right? Oh god. Oh. No way. Oh. What is this thing? Oh, interesting. Yeah, blood. Oh, it. Right, right. I should have known. Oh god. Uh-huh. Thank you. How nice of you. Of course. Oh, all right. Man, it's just one after another, huh? Oh. Is there something we can do for him to be able to activate the chainsaws again? He needs blood, apparently, right? But it's not like he can really just ingest blood, I assume. Man, this devil hunting business is pretty destructive for the infrastructure, huh? Must be a pretty shitty world. Right, right. Just so we, yeah, no, that's so interesting, right? The same way she was thinking about how she didn't understand her own motivations with like Meowies. I don't think he understands his own motivations either, right? With like her caring about Meowie's life and not really understanding that. Well, that won't be happening, unfortunately. Oh, very noble. Uh huh. Uh huh. Yeah, unbelievable. Could never do that. Such lowly desires. Hmm. Yeah. I wonder what he thinks about that, though. Because for him, it is serious for him. Um. Hmm. Nice. Nice. I don't think that's enough, though. God, what is this thing? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. He's gotta work up from the bottom. He doesn't have anything like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A battle of dreams. Sure. Sure. Sounds good. Sounds good. God, he is gone feral. Man, her aim sucks apparently. Nice, nice. Oh fuck. What is he doing? The big. Oh. Hmm. He's a devil. Interesting. Interesting she would say that. He does look pretty devilish, right? But no, I think that's interesting. He's coming. How did he get behind her? Man. Oh god, he's stuck there. Oh fuck. Oh no. Oh. Ah. Hayakawa. Oh, okay. Right. Wow, that was pretty effective. The Leech Devil. Makes sense. Makes sense. Alongside the Bat Devil, they both like drink blood. Sure, sure. Okay, that is crazy. Bunch of new characters, huh? She looks really nervous. This her first shift or something? Himino. You and the Blood Fiends. Okay, thank you. Very nice, very nice. As long as power can get him back. Like, God. I wonder if I wonder how we handled that from their perspective. I hope this wasn't some kind of extreme failure. Ah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wonder how that makes him view him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. What's the difference between a contract and friendship? The Fox Devil. Oh. No, that's similar to the way his relationship with Pochita started, right? And it certainly was more than that. God, he's so sweet. Yeah. Oh, he has to like protect power though. He's yeah. Of course, of course. God, it just shows how much. Oh man. No, we'll talk about it in the discussion. I just don't have time. Just Denji's attitude is so interesting. Yes, exactly. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's doing good. Hmm. Then that would probably not be good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I don't like that though. It's like another relationship where it's like he's almost threatening him, essentially, right? It's another person who basically has Denji's life in his hands in a way. Okay. Protect your current way of life. Another agreement with another person. Yeah, yeah. It's like the same thing again, you know? Kinda. I don't know if Denji really believes that either, though, right? Yeah, I think maybe that whole thing was kind of yeah, a little bit sarcastic, huh? Of course, of course. Where's your cat? Literally, come on. Hasn't happened yet. Interesting. Hmm. Oh God, that look. Yeah, not making friends with them. Okay, interesting. Using them rather than making friends with them, right? The idea of using devils, right? Whatever you want to say devils like represent. Obviously there's the whole idea of fear and that kind of thing, like the literal way they exist in universe, but I just wonder if there's more to it than just that, right? Oh, of course, gotta be perfect, gotta be perfect. What's up, Makima? Your eyes still terrify me. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Sounds about right, sounds about right. I feel like there's some gaps in the story, unfortunately. Like, I don't know. I'm sure Makima doesn't want them to be put down, though, so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's almost like she could be saying we need a better explanation than this, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that's enough, though. Okay, maybe. I think it actually has. I think living with him certainly has changed his attitude towards him. It obviously has. It must have, right? Especially, I think, a couple episodes ago when he learned more about Dingy's situation. I think it changed him some too already, but interesting. Ooh, get more of him. A very simple room, not much around, right? I wonder if he's like how consumed he is by his wish for revenge, you know? That's really all he has. Because that's such a sad thing to want to live for, you know, revenge. Ooh, that was a shot, huh? Making some coffee. Interesting. Seems like a nice place. Nice little apartment. And there's Dingy. Getting some quiet time, I guess. The hair looks a little bit stupid. Like if that was in real life, imagine seeing someone with hair like that. But you know what? Sure, it works. It works. It works in anime. That's for sure. Hmm. I really like that scene, actually. Surely it's a devil. God, oh, maybe it is. It's power. It's power. It's power. It's power. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The red. Meowie, let's go. Oh, God. Not another one. Uh-huh, uh-huh. It's what you need. It's what you need. It's for the best. Oh God, he still makes the ultimate toast. Oh God, he's man. It's so over. I I suppose she will. I believe in her. You know what? She can do it. Yeah, she doesn't eat food. Oh God. Whoa. She needs blood. What about the guy who cooked it? What I okay, that's great. That's great. Somehow she's even worse off than Denji, huh? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh God. Shit to devil. Mm-hmm. Oh God. Uh-oh. I suppose. I guess. I guess. Oh no. Is that really gonna be enough though? Oh man. I guess. I wonder how after seeing what power is like now, and I don't know, he has such a different view of her now than he did before, right? I just wonder if this is gonna be anything for him, right? If he's gonna get anything out of this. I guess. Okay, okay. And what? Sure, sure. How magnanimous of you. I can't say that word. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh. It really changes everything, huh? Oh, yeah, of course. We get another ending. That was a good episode. That was a much slower one. Um, I really liked some of that though, for sure. I liked that quiet scene with Hayakawa just kind of doing stuff. I think it's very interesting. It really makes me think about him. He's a very interesting character, isn't he? I think there's yeah, yeah. God, who doesn't love power, huh? No vegetables, of course. I like this one. I like this one. They've all been good. God, that was cool. Man, what a classic. What a classic. Alrighty. No spoilers. We will talk about the episode in the discussion. Okay, let's talk about the episode. I liked this episode quite a bit. I think there's some interesting things to think about with really all three of our kind of our main characters at this point, right? Denji, Power, and Hayakawa. Um, they're very, I don't know, some very interesting stuff. Like right off the bat here, with Power drinking blood from everything, right? She said in the last episode about how Meowie was like, her relationship with Meowie was like unique because it was like the first thing that she didn't kill immediately, you know? Because I mean, yeah, I guess we can see here she did that with everything. She just killed everything and ate them. And I guess the question here, for one, is an obvious comparison can be made between like Denji's need for like basic survival and like what Power is doing here, right? If we imagine, of course, that Power is killing all of these animals because she needs to eat to be alive, I assume that's why she's doing it. She's not just doing it for fun. um, then I feel like there's, I don't know, some interesting comparisons you can make there, right? With Power's need for like basic survival in this way, and it's, I guess, I don't know if this is like something that's being intentionally brought up or something we're supposed to think about or not, but, and also potentially like the harm that she's doing to others, like through that, right? Maybe the more important thing is how through only chasing this basic need for survival, she was unable to find like deeper meaning in things, right? Like she was unable to, like her relationship with Meowie is so special because she, instead of killing him immediately to eat him for her basic survival, she did form this deeper bond with him and found a more meaningful relationship through that, right? Which is like now the most important thing in her life, right? And I think that's interesting because I think it's something that will very likely apply to Denji as well, right? Denji, we've said it a million times, right? He was at the bottom of the world. All he could worry about was like basic survival and all of that, right? And it's almost like it's probably really hard for him to break out of that mindset, right? Um, and that's why it's difficult for him to think of wishes that are like meaningful. I kind of agree with him though, in the sense of how meaningful a wish is it purely depends on how important it is to you, right? Denji's wish of touching boobs, I think the reason why it's not that meaningful is because I think it is short-sighted and he doesn't have a true understanding of like what he really wants and what he really desires, right? Um, but I think the comparison there is just Power through the relationship she had with Miaoi, through living in a pretty similar way to the way Denji always did, right? This fulfilling only her basic needs for survival and nothing else. The thing that became meaningful for her was this relationship this relationship with Miaoi, where it's almost like she resisted what she thought were these basic needs for survival for a moment and found something more meaningful like through this relationship, right? Which I guess for Denji, I think like the direct connection between those things would be, for Denji, it's like touching boobs, right? Like I think for Denji, him chasing only touching boobs would be like Power only killing Meowie and eating him, right? I think obviously it's like different, right? But I think for Denji, he needs to find something like Meowie. He needs to approach this from a different angle, do something other than what he thinks just his base instincts are telling him he wants, and he will find more meaning through that, right? I think the important thing, of course, is what Denji is doing, what he's chasing here with his wish. It's not like an irreversible decision, like if Power had decided to kill Meowie, right? I think he's gonna touch Power's boobs and be like disappointed by it, right? Because it's going to be a fulfillment of his wish that he was just spent half of this episode talking about how it's actually meaningful to him and all of this stuff, right? So I wonder what his reaction to it will be if, maybe not immediately, but maybe in the long run, it isn't as meaningful as he thought it would be, right? That I just wonder, I wonder if he has the capability to like think of more deeper and meaningful things that he really truly wants. Because I don't know if he really has any idea of what he really wants, right? Just like Power, right? Power kind of just didn't kill Meowie through happenstance because she was like full when Meowie showed up. She was like, oh, well, fatten you up and then eat you later, right? Denji needs a situation like that too, right? Because I think just like her, he's kind of in a way a slave to just his base instincts and his base desires, because that's how he's always lived. He doesn't know anything different. And he needs something to like break him out of that, right? He needs some way to recognize what he actually wants and what he actually desires from like life, right? What an actual like normal life would actually be, you know? Because I imagine, despite what he said in like episode 2 about how now his life is so perfect, he can't imagine, it's 10 out of 10. I think his definition of what a good, meaningful life is will change and develop over time, right? Of course, he'll find more things that he wants and desires, just like Power did with Meowie, right? Of course. And this is very interesting. Her running. So as she's running, after the Bat Devil threatens Meowie, she's thinking about how all life is equally meaningless, right? Obviously, this is interesting because she must be applying it to herself as well, right? Of course, it's not surprising that living the way she has for however long she's existed as a devil, right? That she has this attitude, that life is meaningless. Because I think when she hasn't given life a chance, when she's killed and eaten everything and has never formed a meaningful relationship, she's never had the chance to do things that make life meaningful the same way Dingy hasn't. Of course she would have this attitude that life is meaningless, right? So why am I running over a mere cat? Why am I searching for a human? To save Meowie? How ridiculous. It's very interesting. It's very interesting how this is an interesting contrast between her thoughts here and Dingy's thoughts about his wish to touch boobs, because what she's thinking in this moment is about how what she's doing, what she's pursuing right now, she doesn't understand why she's doing it. She thinks it's stupid, right? She doesn't fully understand her own feelings and emotions in this moment, right? Well, Dingy, him wanting to touch boobs was like this automatic thing. It's like this, almost like this instinctual thing that he's going along with, where he thinks this is what he wants and he thinks this is what he needs. And he's so stubbornly defending it as like an idea and as a wish, right? Which again, I don't really have a problem with that, but I just think the contrast between that and Power's attitude here is interesting, because she's pondering over why this is meaningful to her at all, right? Meowie and all of this relationship she has with this cat. While Dingy is so staunchly defending his wish and what he desires, right? When I think they come from such like opposite places as well, you know? I like blood. I like its taste and scent. I like how you feel death through it. Also, I recently realized something else for the first time. Blood is warm and feels nice. Exactly. Must be so nice after never having that before, right? I think the other interesting thing about blood is it represents life as well, right? It doesn't just represent death, you know? Um, which I don't know. I wonder for Power how that's going to I don't know. I wonder like where she's going as a character from this, right? Because it's interesting. She has this relationship with her cat, which is very meaningful to her. But I wonder how well that translates to her relationships with other people, right? I guess I just wonder how her relationship with Dingy will evolve from here. Because they have like this emotional connection in a way that they didn't have before, right? This shared connection between Meowie and like Pochita, right? So I don't know. It's interesting. And also, like, I mean, they're also kind of in the same situation. They have a lot of the same struggles going on, like, right now, right? Thank God Meow is alive. God. Thank God. And Denji saves her. So she asks Denji, why did you save me? I was trying to get you killed. And he struggles for a moment before pointing and saying, oh yeah, it was to touch your boobs, of course, right? How ridiculous. Because I think that is ridiculous, right? That's not why. That's obviously not why. And what's interesting is Dingy knows that too, right? Like it's in this moment seeing Dingy's face here when he like makes this face, and especially just like his thoughts in the last episode where he's thinking about Power and her relationship with Meowie, and that compared to him and Pochita and all of this, right? Um, it's not just because of her boobs. That's not why, right? So it's interesting how, in this moment, he understands that the reason why he saved her, the reason why he has this connection to her, the reason why he's able to forgive her instantly, why he wants to protect her now, is because of like this emotional connection he has to her. And yet, he's saying that his goal in all of this is just to touch her boobs, and he defends that so much, and it's interesting. It really is, I think, like a level of cognitive dissonance he has going on right now. Um, Where I think it probably all still comes back to he doesn't understand like what he wants and what he desires, right? He thinks touching boobs will be like this very meaningful thing for him where he gets a lot out of it, but I don't think it will. And I think it really is this emotional connection to her that is more meaningful. And I just don't think he even understands that because he just hasn't experienced anything like this before, right? Hmm. I also just wonder it's like him feeling the need to excuse his actions for this purpose instead, rather than it being like a more deeper emotional reason for saving her is also interesting, right? It just makes you think like what is his attitude towards his own emotions and towards this kind of thing, right? Like I don't know, does he reject it like internally? Or is he just like embarrassed by it in a sense and he wants to project that this is his reason for doing it, right? But I don't think it's that simple because he does so strongly defend his goal of just wanting to touch boobs later, that no, I think it is an internal thing. I think it's an internal thing where he truly doesn't understand himself and his own desires yet, right? How ridiculous. And it really is, right? It really is. Because I'm trying to think of like a comparison you could even make, right? But Power is much more in touch with her desires than he is, right? She understood that what she was doing was just for Meowie, and she loves him, and she wants her cat back, right? She didn't have to come up with it's like if her excuse for wanting to save Meowie was so she could eat him, right? That would be stupid, you know. But I don't know. I don't know if for Denji it really is an excuse, or if he truly just doesn't get himself yet, you know. I apologize for deceiving you. Meow is safe. I'll let you touch my boobs. And he sits there and thinks for a moment. I'm curious what was going through his head, but no, he's very excited, of course. Very excited, very excited. But then the leech devil shows up. God, for a second I thought it was eating Meowie, and I was gonna be like, there's no way they're taking Meowie away from us right after all of that. That would be awful. But no, it's fine. It's just eating Denji's arm. No big deal. It looks terrifying. It looks horrifying. Um, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like its hair. That's for sure. I'm really, really not a fan of the Leech Devil. Um, Power can't get up. Power can't help fight it. Power wants him to take Meowie and run, which is so God. That's crazy because that's so against like the way she lived for so long was killing other things to fulfill her just basic need for survival and everything, right? And now she's gone so far as to just to put Meowie above herself, even, you know? I just wonder if we're making there's a clear comparison here between Power and Denji. What would you say for Denji would be like this step of putting something above that basic need for survival, you know? I don't even know, right? It's kind of the comparison between them is kind of like vague. It's hard to like say one to one what anything would be, you know. But it's very interesting, right? Hmm. Denji can't use the chainsaws. They aren't coming out. He says he doesn't have enough blood, which is interesting. I want to say there's definitely some kind of deeper. Maybe not. I want to say there's some kind of deeper meaning behind him not being able to summon the chainsaws right now. The idea of him not having enough blood, I feel like that has to mean something, but I'm just not sure. Like it means something on some kind of thematic level. I just don't know. There's something on my monitor. There we go. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure what. So the Leech Devil and the Bat Devil teamed up with their glorious noble wish to kill all of humanity, right? Which it's interesting, right? How for people that is a terrible wish to have, right? Most people, if that was your wish, if your wish was to kill all of humanity, that's a pretty bad wish. I think most people would agree that is a worse wish than Denji's wish to touch boobs, right? um so it's interesting then that Denji has this reaction in a moment. Of course, yeah, Power's thinking about how, yeah, he's doing all this fighting just so he can feel up some boobs. I think it's ridiculous. I don't it's ridiculous in the sense of I can't tell still if Denji is fooling himself. No, I really think he is. I really think he is. I think he has a very just a very inflated idea of what it means to touch boobs and what that is going to do for him, right? That really is what it is. I don't think it's like he's using that as an excuse or using it as anything else. No, I think he's being genuine. I think that really is why he's doing this. And I think it's just because he doesn't have any experience with this kind of thing, he really thinks it's going to be very meaningful for him. So yeah, I think that really is why he's doing it. That really is why he's doing it, you know? I mean, obviously there's deeper meaning to it than that, right? Like, it goes to kind of his whole motivation, which is like to fulfill his dreams and have a meaningful life and all of this, right? For him, he just thinks touching boobs is like the next stepping stone in that ladder, right? It's just him being out of touch with his desires and what will truly be like meaningful for him, right? And in a sense, that's also interesting because thinking about that with like Makima, how Makima has him like trapped in this situation where it's like the way he's trapped by her is because for him she does represent so much of this like these like base desires and instinctual desires he has. So I just wonder if alongside his development in that way, because again, I'm assuming he's going to steadily gain more and more of an understanding of his own feelings and what he really desires. If that is going to be when he starts, you know, having different feelings about Makima, you know, I'm just curious. Because like in episode 2, she really played that up, you know, the whole Denji's attitude about that kind of thing, you know. Anyway, what I was trying to say. So the Leech Devil has this wish to kill all of humanity. Yeah, the dream to eat all humans, right? And Denji has this interesting reaction to it. Well, yeah, he's really mad about everyone else having these wishes, right? Like, the Leech Devil says that's boring, getting killed by someone with such a lowly desire. And he thinks about all these other people saying he's not taking it seriously, that he doesn't have a serious dream, he doesn't have a serious wish, right? So he's mad about it, right? He thinks his dream is just as meaningful as everyone else's. And what it represents certainly is, right? What it represents certainly is, because for him, again, it represents this is just a stepping stone in his path to achieving the normal life, the good life he wants, just the things he desires in general, you know? And this is just a stepping stone in that path. The reason why this is interesting to me is because it's almost like he groups up the Leech's wish here to kill all of humanity with like these other goals that other people have that are supposedly more meaningful than his, right? And I think what this makes so clear is the obvious subjectivity of these wishes and dreams to every individual person, right? Because the Leech's dream isn't something so lofty as like revenge for your family, protecting your family, saving a cat, saving a relationship that means so much to you, right? The Leech Devil's dream is to kill everybody, right? Most people wouldn't view that dream as something that's very like good, right? That's not a very meaningful wish to most people. That is lower down on the totem pole than touching some boobs. In a sense, I think you could say that touching boobs is like more meaningless to most people, so maybe they would look down on Denji's wish more in like a weird way. But no, I just think the important thing that it points out to me is it shows how all of these goals that other people have, it is purely a subjective system, right? Denji and other people, I guess, for Denji, shouldn't be comparing their goals and their dreams and their aspirations in life to like each other, because it's this subjective thing where it's your own feelings and your own emotions and what you want to do is what's important, right? And that's why for the Leech Devil has this ridiculous thing of wanting to kill all of humanity. Most people would not view that as a good dream, as a good wish, right? But in this situation, it's like Denji puts that almost on the same pedestal as all of these other things, you know? Because it's like for the Leech Devil, that is something that is very meaningful and important, you know? Just like for Denji, touching boobs is, even if I think it isn't going to end up the way he thinks it will, I think through fulfilling this dream, he will understand himself more and will, you know, have a better dream, I guess you could say. But that doesn't mean what he's fighting for right now is any less meaningful, like, emotionally for him, if we're just thinking about the subjectivity of it and, like, what it means to him, right? Must be nice to have admirable dreams, huh? Have a battle of dreams, then. If I manage to kill you, that means your dream is below feeling up boobs, which is an interesting form to say because even this kind of lowers this idea of like these aspirations and dreams down to the same level of just like this basic survival thing, right? Where, oh, if I kill you, that means my dream is better than yours, right? It's like we're dragging everything back down to that same base level, where it's almost like mentally, in a way, Denji is still stuck at, right? That's why he thinks killing the Leech Devil proves that his dream is, like, better, right? The smaller the dog, the louder the bark, I suppose, I guess. So we have the Battle of Dreams. Unfortunately, Denji doesn't get to be the one who finishes it off. It is Hayakawa with the Fox Devil. Power in this moment thinks he's a devil, which is really interesting. There's definitely some deeper meaning to whatever devils represent, right? Obviously, we got like an in-universe explanation and a way that we certainly can view them. Like, because in-universe, they literally represent this too, which is like representative of like fears that people have, and that's how they're like that's how they get power, right? Is the fears of of like society at large, I suppose, right? But it certainly means something more to like be a devil, you know? I guess what I imagine now as being a devil is almost like surrendering yourself to this kind of like basic survival level of like the, you know, the hierarchy of needs, I guess you can say, you know? Almost like the way Power was before, right? She was certainly like a devil back then. She's so different now, right? And that's why she's thinking of him now as being like a devil, you know? Because what he's doing right now is essentially lowering his own dreams down to that same level, right? Saying it's all just a fight to the fight to the death, and that's all that matters, you know. But I don't know. I would just have to think about it more, right? Because at the same time, it is interesting how the devils themselves do also have their own like wishes and desires, which is kind of counter to this idea of living only for like basic survival, you know. So I'll certainly have to think more about what you want to say a devil represents, right? But I think this line, Power comparing him to a devil in this moment, is very, very insightful in that way. Because it's like for Denji, the thing that he rejected, or like was almost scared to show, scared to think about, maybe scared to admit to himself, was this emotional reason for saving Power and this emotional connection he has to Power now, right? That he thought about in the last episode. Um, so him almost like rejecting that and returning to running around with a chainsaw face and killing everything. That's quite the contrast, right? Similar to Power running around killing stuff versus her hugging Meowie, you know. Um, so it's interesting. I wonder where we're going with it, because obviously I don't think Denji being Chainsaw Man is like bad. I don't think it's him engaging in violence against devils isn't like a bad thing. So it's rough for me to say that that is being represented as some kind of negative thing about his character in this moment. But I guess Power did say he's like a devil right now, you know? So maybe it is. I don't know. It's interesting to think about, that's for sure. He almost gets eaten, but not quite. Hayakawa's awesome. I guess that's how he summons the fox devil, I suppose. God, that is crazy. Man, lots of people scared of foxes, huh? Man, around my neighborhood, like 2 months ago, there were a bunch of foxes that like there's like a whole family of foxes that I saw probably like, I don't know, every other day that were just running around. It was like it was weird. I had never seen a fox literally in my life before. And then there was like a whole family of them that were just here. They're like gone now. I don't know. Too cold or something. I don't know what foxes do in the winter, but it was weird. I'd never seen them around here before at all. God, and it was just the Fox Devil's head. How big is this thing? We get some new characters here. I assume several of them, I mean, they seem like they're all going to be reoccurring. We got Nervous Girl, we got Eye Patch Girl, we got Scar Guy. I don't remember their names. Her name's Himino, I think? Bleach Devil has been eliminated. Yeah, the newbies. They are the newbies. I wonder if this is literally her first, her first like expedition here. She seems very nervous. Let me listen to how he pronounces her name. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. Oops, yeah, Himino. Okay. He calls her Himino Senpai, which I did not catch the first time, but that's interesting. That obviously makes you think, is she even more senior than him? I assume so then, right? Dream Battle, Gunna, my dream battle. Thank you, thank you. Thank God Meowie's saved. God. Sent to the vet. Power gets him back. Beautiful, beautiful. So Hayakawa, huh? He's a very interesting character. I'm really not sure what to make of him yet, other than I'm wondering if his pursuit of revenge and his dream of revenge, it seems like it's something that is like fully consuming him, right? Um, he's very resistant to the idea of his attitude towards devils and anything like that changing at all, right? He comes up with these excuses for engaging with devils himself, right? And again, I think, man, if I want to keep going with this idea of the devil being representative of, never mind. Never. You know what? We'll talk about it more. We'll talk about it more if it comes up later. I don't want to get completely sidetracked on this interpretation of what I imagine a devil could be. When I'm just not sure if that's what I want to lock in on or not. Right. Um. Anyway, a devil hunter makes a contract with a devil so they can fight other devils. I have a contract with the fox devil. The terms are that in return for its power, it gets to eat a part of my body, which is very interesting because that is very similar to like Pochita and Denji at the start, right? He let Pochita bite him to stay alive, right? And their relationship certainly turned out more than that, right? This time I gave it some skin. And he pulls the apples away from Denji. That is an interesting moment when he does that, right? I don't know. There's certainly, whatever you want to say the apples represent, I suppose. To me, it's like, I guess, the apples are almost like a luxury and like a commodity almost like that. Him denying that from Denji is interesting compared with like what he acts like in a moment. It's almost like Denji has to make an agreement with like yet another person just for his basic survival to be fulfilled, right? It's interesting how his relationship with Hayakawa ends up like this in a way, right? Because it's like, I don't know, just there have been so many people like Denji, I mean, like this in Denji's life, who like Makima and the Yakuza, and now kind of Hayakawa, just in like a different way, right? But it's just like this yet again, where it's like someone has his life in their hands, and he has to, make an agreement with them for them to not kill him. It's like, I don't know, Denji really can't escape it, huh? Devils constantly seek the death of humans, and fiends are no different. And yet we know that's just not true, right? It's like, I feel like we know for sure that power can be different, right? If she can form this meaningful relationship with a cat, she can do it with people too, like for sure, right? So, I don't know. Yeah, Power's a good person. He says that. He's so sure of it now. Which again, it's so interesting that he's so willing to defend her. That his view of her has changed so much. He really is just like a sweet guy. He must be, right? That he has no grudge and no ill will towards her at all after what happened because he sees himself in her so much. And yeah, he's really got to cover up for her here. Really got to cover up for her here. I don't know why, but you're taking a devil's side again. And Denji, I don't know, goes with the old "I don't remember anything" excuse. But Hayakawa thinks about the outcome, I suppose, of Denji's actions here, which is interesting. They didn't kill anyone; they saved people. So sure, good enough, I suppose, right? I guess for Hayakawa, this is kind of like just the. I assume he was very distrustful of Denji, and at the very least, this kind of gets Denji above that basic bar where he doesn't at least think Denji's like evil, right? Because it's clear that Denji cares about saving people. At the very least. If I were to investigate more thoroughly and report it to the higher-ups, both you and the Blood Fiend would be disposed of. But nobody died. So if you accept one condition, I'll let it slide this time. You have to take my advice seriously and follow it. You're a stupid brat with no morals. Thank you. I'm your senior in the Bureau, and I always strive to do what is just and moral. So if you do as I say, you'll be able to protect your current way of life. So just yet again, it's just like, it's not as extreme, but it's just another thing where it's like a relationship where Denji is almost being forced to act at the whims of another person. It's rough how he is always put in this situation. It's interesting how Hayakawa has this high view of himself, right? Always striving to do what is just and moral. I don't know. It's interesting because it's like he is unwilling to change or recognize differences in like what could be just or what could be moral. It's like he has like this set idea of what is just and moral, and he's not willing to change it now, right? With like Makima asking him if he's changed at all, and him denying it so strongly. Hmm. And Denji, I mean, I don't know. I wonder what Denji really thinks in this moment, right? He says, I don't have a lofty goal like the rest of you. I've only got my cheap dream. But we know he doesn't really feel like that. I think he believes his dream is very valuable and is very meaningful, right? I mean, he was just screaming about it, right? I don't know if he's being fully sarcastic here or if this is just part of his, he is always very, how did the Yakuza say it? He always follows orders, he always does. He's very, I don't know. Hmm. At the very least, he's used to dealing with situations like that where someone needs something from him, and he's willing to do it. you know, he can play that part. That's for sure. Huh. So he covered for Power. Thank God. Power's free. She won't murder anyone. I'm sure. We're devil hunters, devil or fiends. We use anything we can. So like yet again, it's like this devils are being compared to like a some kind of desperate tool, something that you don't want to have to use, but you're like forced to in a way. I don't know. I feel like there's more connections I can make to this idea of devils being representative of like basic survival and like that kind of idea. But it's just so vague so far. I just really have to see more about what devils are to really form an idea there. Not making friends with them. Of course you won't. Of course you aren't. So Hayakawa shows up to come talk to Makima. Almost knocks on the door. Gotta make sure he's all ready, though, of course. He really has a very high opinion of her, that's for sure. I can't tell if it is similar to the way Denji feels about her or not. I don't know, and that I guess I just don't know if it's like romantic, if he like is infatuated with her in some way, or if he just really respects her. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Just because his reaction to her on the phone later, too, is very interesting, right? So he might just have a very high opinion of her, right? Because certainly, if he is so obsessed with revenge, he's so obsessed with hunting devils, all this stuff. If Makima's very successful at that, which I think she is, she's at such a high position, it would make sense that he has a very high opinion of her, right? So I imagine it would be more than him just being, like, infatuated with her the way Denji is. So he has to pitch the story to her. And I don't know, it feels like, Makima, I think, is kind of on the same side of not wanting Denji and Power to both just be obliterated. So I kind of feel like he has to pitch this story to her, and she almost has to make sure that the story is, like, good enough, right? Because I don't think she would want to have them both die, but it's almost like she has to make sure that the story he's giving is, like, good enough to be a believable explanation for it. It's almost like in case there's any more scrutiny, in case there's anything like that. In case she has to pitch it to like those people those guys she was talking to in the last episode. Hmm. Have you become a bit more open-minded about this, Hayakawa-kun? Maybe it's an effective living with Denji, and I certainly think it is. Certainly think it is. I think his attitude about Denji had already changed pretty significantly before. Just ever since he learned more about Denji and his situation after that very first meeting they had and they beat each other up. I think his attitude towards him already had shifted pretty significantly after that, and I think it certainly has with living with him. I think it would be crazy if it didn't. God, she is terrifying. hmm. We get some very nice scenes here. I just think it's very interesting. In a sense, to me, we get all these shots of him, empty room, just nothing, right? It's so quiet. We don't get his thoughts or anything, right? It's a scene like this where it feels like we would be able to like get his thoughts, hear what he's thinking, but we don't, right? It gives off this vibe of like emptiness and like lack of fulfillment almost to me, right? Where he just I don't know, it just to me it just feels like he's almost like empty, right? That it gives me this vibe that he really is consumed a lot by this idea of revenge and by being a devil hunter, and that's almost all that he has. Which is interesting. It's like him making the coffee. What it makes me think of is it's like he certainly easily fulfills the first level that like Denji was at before, right? His basic survival and everything he has met easily, right? He has luxuries like coffee, right? He has running water, right? We get the shot of him looking at the water in his hands. He can wash his face every day, right? Things like that are like these luxuries in the first world we kind of take for granted. he has them as well, right? His basic survival isn't a threat. He has luxuries like this, right? But just how empty and like silent these scenes are, it just makes me think how white it is, you know? It's like we just have these stark colors like this, you know? Even what he's wearing, you know? It just feels like he's missing something, you know? That whatever the next thing he needs is, he doesn't have it yet, you know? It's very interesting. Because in a way, in that sense, it's like you can almost say Denji's goal of touching boobs is more meaningful than revenge, in a way. Because revenge, oh, revenge, you know? It's just not a very good goal, I feel like, you know? It's based in being stuck in the past and being like, you know, being like this in a way, you know? It's very interesting. Hmm. Denji's eating his disgusting toast. I'm really not a fan of the toast. He makes some curry. Very nice, very nice. And then Power shows up, and man, it is a mess, huh? Makima is just not letting Hayakawa off the hook at all. He's got to have Power here now too. Man, rough, huh? So this is the reaction that's interesting. She says it's because I can't trust anyone more than you, and he has this reaction to that. He like blushes slightly, but I just wonder, I don't think it's really like an infatuation with her. I just wonder if he has a very high opinion of her. So hearing her say that is like very meaningful to him, you know? We can't just have her live at the office forever. I guess. And she's making a mess. She can't eat vegetables. She's doesn't flush the toilet. She doesn't take baths. What's wrong with you two? Humans are so sensitive. While she's holding her dear cat that she wanted to kill everyone for the sake of. Yeah. Humans are so sensitive. Of course, of course. And here at the end here, she comes in and we are fulfilling the deal. It's time for Denji to get what he wants. But I just really think, I mean, I've said it a million times, it's not gonna do much for him, I think. I just don't know if it's going to be, especially like the sad thing about it too is her saying that this is payment he receives for saving Meowie, killing Bat, and covering for her, right? The reason why it's sad is because it like turns this relationship almost like transactional like this, right? It makes it this way that just I think it's like the opposite of the kind of relationship Denji would want, you know? I It's just not good. Not good, right? I don't think he's gonna be happy with it at all, you know? Hmm. My angel, of course, of course. So I don't know. I'm very curious where we're going. That was a really good episode. I really liked that one. Good ending, of course, as always, as always. Man, the amount of work they put into these, huh? They're crazy. I liked this one. I think the second one might have been my favorite. I really liked that one. Um, but I don't know. These last two have been really good too. So yeah, I guess that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover. Probably not. I could probably talk forever, but we gotta stop eventually. So yeah, I guess that's it. So please, if you enjoy my videos, do subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you think, and I will see you in the next one.